Okay, what is up, Roll Coverage fam? Just wanted to come on here and give you a new weekly opportunity to learn a little bit more about our Carolina Panthers. Now, obviously, I'm a bit of a pessimist when it comes to this team, especially since David Tepper has become the owner of our once great franchise. Now, obviously, we started in the 90s, so I say once great, but hey, I'm only 35, so they've been around my entire life. Damn near, adult life at least. But now I find that this team is in a very interesting place when it comes to the fandom. Now, many teams will continue to pound the pavement that they're just trying to get better every year. And to be honest, I think this is the first year and probably the last three that I actually feel like the Carolina Panthers are moving in the right direction for once. Now, obviously, we're coming off the Cam Newton years and everything like that, hoping that these Bryce years are going to be fruitful. Bryce coming out of college was the consensus number one on many boards, though I did have my hesitation regarding his size. I am more of a Stroud fan, even though he's an Ohio State alum and I'm not an Ohio State guy. I just gave it to Stroud, man. And to be honest, I am a big Frank Reich supporter, so during that time, hey, I believed in our head coach. So going with Bryce Young was obviously hesitant for me. But now, 2 years later, I'm justified in feeling that. Now, obviously, some people will say I just wanted him to fail, and that's not true. I want to see Carolina win multiple Super Bowls, regardless of the quarterback. To be honest, if it's Daniel Jones, I will still want us to win a Super Bowl. I just am not going to suspend reality on where the team is currently. Now, in 2025, we've added Tedroa McMillan, Nick Scorton, Princely Uman-Mielen, Trevor Etienne, Lathan Ransom, Jimmy Horn Jr. We've got some guys out there from this most recent draft, which I think is going to shed quite a bit of light on last year's draft with Xavier Legette, Jonathan Brooks, and of course, Jatavian Sanders. If we continue to look at that draft class, we are going to continue to look at Dan Morgan in a less than loving light. Though I do think this newest draft class might be the one. Tedroa McMillan absolutely continues to wow in all of the footage that we've seen from OTAs to hopefully camp here soon. And with the recent injuries to other wide receivers around the league, Tedroa has continued to stay healthy. Another concern for every Carolina Panthers team. I'm worried about this defense, though. As much as I'm worried about the offense and Bryce Young, I must say this defense, as much as I want to believe in them, I have a lot of reservations. Those reservations are coming because of two specific places. One of which is the linebacker room. I don't think that Josie Jewell, the sheriff, whatever you want to call him, is the right guy. I think he's the right guy for Evero's system at the moment, but this team is not ready to win, and Josie Jewell will not be a part of our long-term process, in my opinion. Trevin Wallace is from that draft class with Jonathan Brooks. I think he's subpar at best. Now, we've got some other guys in the linebacker room that we've picked up in undrafted free agency this year, one of which is Tuasivi Nomura. I hope I'm saying that right, and if I'm not, boss, I apologize. But the Fresno State kid actually has a lot of juice. And not just that, but in college, he was a 4-time academic All-American, tons of tackles, absolutely was able to dominate at his level. And all I need him to do is go out there and make solid NFL decisions. Something that was a major criticism of Trevin Wallace coming out of college, but we still decided to gamble on him. Now, obviously, if he pays off, the young linebacker in Wallace, and of course, the young linebacker in Nomura, could absolutely shore up that middle of the field for us. I do think the addition of Nick Scorton, Princely Uman-Mielen, and, to be honest, Lathan Ransom changes this defense quite a bit. And now, as I'm looking at it on July 2nd, 2025, I've got a little bit of a theory for you guys. The theory comes down to this. Do we think that Evero's system, which normally runs cover 2-4-6, is going to do something that squeezes the field? Because right now, we don't truly have a free safety that we can write home about. As much as Jordan Poyer is out there waiting to be signed, the team either seems unmotivated to go get him, or he seems unmotivated to come sign with us, which I can't blame him. We are in a true rebuild, And I don't really know if it's actually begun until the season starts. That's when I'll say the rebuild has truly begun. But this team is not going to continue to ascend if that linebacker room isn't fixed, if we don't get a free safety that's good at coverage, or if we can't find a way to get after the quarterback in a way that shrinks the field, instead of allowing things to develop downfield and we end up giving bomb passes to Jamar Chase, or we give up bomb passes to these crazy wide receivers. We have to try and limit that. I love the addition of Turk Wharton. I love what we've done on the interior defensive line. And to be honest, I'm even at the point where Ashawn Robinson can go somewhere else. I just don't care. I need young guys in here. I need guys that are going to build long term. And not only on the defensive side, I need them to do well this year. I want Ejiro Evero to continue with this team because I am a big Evero fan. I don't care what anybody says. The defense last year suffered due to injury. Yet now I feel like it's Evero's time to shine. And if not, we are going to be jettisoning him for another DC. I don't think Dave Canales is going to wait any longer. The final place that I want to kind of round this out today is I want to tell you guys about a concern that maybe people aren't looking at yet because they feel like it's quote-unquote solved already. And that's the offensive line. The offensive line is going to be predicated on the idea that our running backs are going to be running behind guards. That is the Dave Canales way. With that, I am worried about the long-term health of both of our guards. I'm worried about the depth at the guard position. And to be honest, our tackle positions aren't much better. And the one position that is, in my opinion, one of the most crucial, and if you go look at all the top tier teams that have won, they always have great centers. Yet now we are about to roll out an aged Austin Corbett, as well as a Cade Mays that, to be honest, did well sometimes, but is not consistent enough to play the position. I do think that the previous drafts will haunt us with that, passing on guys like Jackson Powers Johnson, Max Frazier. To be honest, there's been a few others. Last year's 7th round pick, Jonah Monheim, could have been on this team and shored up that center position for the next 5-6 years at minimum. But instead, we are kind of hoping that that offensive interior line is something that can sustain. The other concern I have is both of our guards are really close to 30. And while that's not a death knell, I do think that there is something to that. And as much as I want to say that there is a way to solve this year, I truly believe that there's no way to do that. Because if you were to cut up the offensive line, the run game suffers, Bryce is going to be hit more, and he is going to continue to decline. Regardless of how the second half of the season went, I still don't have all my eggs in the Bryce Young basket. And some have called me a non-Panthers fan for that, but to be honest, I want sustained success. I do not want to continue to hope and pray that we can maybe contend for a division. I want to be in the division contention every year, so I need a quarterback that can overcome things. We are not the San Francisco 49ers that drafted well for a long time and putting a ton of pieces around our young quarterback. We are not the Minnesota Vikings. We are not the Baltimore Ravens. We are the Carolina Panthers, who has a obscene history of botching trades and of not drafting well. So this is hopefully the first turnaround for this franchise. If we can come back with a 6-7, you know what, let's go crazy, 8-win season, I think that this could be amazing. But also, we need to take into consideration that PFT's Mike Florio even spoke about Dave Canales possibly being on the hot seat.
Dave Canales, number 5, the Panthers head coach, entering year 3. If they have a disaster this year, I think David Tepper, in lieu of throwing a drink on a fan, may fill out a pink slip for Dave Canales if they have a disaster. And I know there's kind of a vibe that, hey, maybe the Panthers are going to... Look, maybe they will. I don't know. But I know this. There's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9 teams at the end of the year that the feeling is going to be, they sucked.
And as crazy as that sounds, that a second-year head coach, Dave Canales, could be fired, we have to remember that Frank Reich was hired and fired within 11 games. Didn't even spend a full 12 months with this team, even though there is such a deep lineage with Frank Reich and this organization, being the quarterback that threw our first touchdown ever. In fact, I have a signed Pickett from that day, from where he threw that touchdown. I think it's super cool. That was why I believed in Frank Reich. He was a Panther before any other Panthers. I understand we drafted some other folks, but he was the guy that threw our first touchdown. So got to give him credit there. I do think that this is the year not only for Canales, but I do think that we are slowly approaching the Bryce Young runway. And by runway, I mean the end of it. If Bryce Young can't eclipse 20 passing touchdowns and continues to rely on rushing touchdowns to justify him while also not being able to eclipse 3,000 yards, I do think that Bryce is moved by the end of the season. I do think, and I've continued to say, that Bryce Young will succeed in the NFL. I just don't think it's in Carolina. I think that we continually mess up quarterbacks and we keep putting them in worse and worse situations, and then we lie about it. To be honest, the whole Hunger Games article with Reich and Bryce Young was a very eye-opening article. If you haven't checked it out, Diana Rossini and Joe Person wrote it for The Athletic. I will make sure to put it in the comments. There is not a place where I'm going to give the ownership a pass, where I'm going to give the team a pass. I need to see production. I want to see wins, but at the same time, I need to know it's sustained. I don't want a one season, hey, we win a playoff game. Hey, you know what? Let's go crazy. We win 2 playoff games and then don't go back to the playoffs for 3 years. Is that really a win? In my opinion, no. It's a flash in the pan. It's we got lucky. I want to see consistency, and that's the one thing that the David Tepper Carolina Panthers haven't been able to show me. I want to know your thoughts, though. Am I off base to think that the Carolina Panthers are kind of in this weird headspace right now? Are we in a situation where the fan base is so farther ahead of where the team actually is that they can't be unbiased when it comes to this team? Because personally, I saw somebody say that if the over-under was 9.5 wins, they would take the over. That's crazy. I would pound the under. But again, I'm a self-noted pessimist when it comes to this team. I should say, I'm more of a David Tepper pessimist. But hey, I want to know your thoughts. Tell me where you are with this team. Make sure you check it out tomorrow. I will have another one for you where we start going over some of the undrafted free agents from this class. And in fact, I'm going to start with one man, Mr. Tuasiba Nomura from Fresno State. I will see you tomorrow. My name is Nick. This has been Roll Coverage. Peace.